Greetings! My name is Brad Hessel. I am the Libertarian and Forward Party candidate for Senate 18 in Northern Wake County in 2024. And you know what? It's actually pretty easy being a Libertarian. I mean, we only have two rules. Rule 1, don't hit people. Rule 2, don't steal their stuff. Now, there is an exception to Rule 1 if somebody hits you first, of course. So, I have a Democratic opponent and a Republican opponent, and all three of us have ideas for healthcare, education, the economy, the stuff that North Carolinians care most about. And my ideas are the best, of course. But those are not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about a topic my opponents are not talking about. I am very unhappy with the current toxic state of political discourse here in North Carolina. And I appreciate that it's not just North Carolina. This is a national issue. But, we got candidates who are attacking each other instead of focusing on policy and issues. And we have candidates that are attacking their opponents' supporters. So, again, I appreciate this is not just a North Carolina issue. It's a nationwide phenomenon, and I know we can't solve it all by ourselves here in North Carolina. But having said that, there are some things that we can do here in North Carolina that would make our lives better in this respect. These are electoral reforms. And one of these is establishing an independent, non-partisan commission to redraw district lines. So, every 10 years, we do a census nationally, and based on the results in North Carolina, we redraw our U.S. Congress district lines and our North Carolina General Assembly district lines. And this work is done by politicians. It's been that way, basically, forever. For many decades, the Democrats were in control, and they drew the lines, and, maybe it was a coincidence, but every single time they did it, we ended up with a few more Democratic districts and a few less Republican districts than probably we should have if the lines had been drawn fairly. And then, in 2010, despite this gerrymandering, the Republicans won control of the state House and the state Senate. And since then, they've been drawing the lines, and guess what? We end up with a few more Republican districts and a few less Democratic districts than probably we should if the lines were drawn fairly. In fact, it's even worse now, not because the Republicans are any smarter, but, well, it's actually my fault. I'm in the IT industry, and the computer programs for helping folks to draw these lines have become much more sophisticated and powerful, so they do a better job from their own perspective. So this is obviously unfair, and it's also bad for us, bad for all of us, whether we're Democrats, Republicans, Independents, whatever. It's bad for us, first of all, because it just pours more gasoline on this toxic political fire we've got, where it appears that everybody's just out for their own partisan gain. Actually, in this case, probably everybody is just out for their own partisan gain. So that's bad, but it's also bad for us from a structural point of view, in the sense that, we're all supposed to be participating in a democratic process where we weigh the pros and cons of what each candidate has to say. We all have our own criteria for what we think is best. You might think what's best is what's best for you. You might think what's best is what's best for North Carolina. Totally up to you. So you listen to what the candidates have to say and decide which of them seem like they would be better at pursuing policies that go in the direction that you think is the right direction. Okay, but let's take Wake County, for example. Wake County, we have 19 North Carolina General Assembly seats. That's more than any other county. Well, we're tied with Mecklenburg, actually, which makes sense because Mecklenburg and Wake have the most people of any of the counties. This year, 2024, the Wake GOP are running 10 candidates in Wake County for North Carolina General Assembly. 10 candidates for 19 seats. There are 19 seats. where there's only one candidate on the ballot, the Democrat, right? There's no Republican. Why? Well, I don't know why. Maybe just by coincidence they couldn't find somebody in 9, like half of our districts. Or probably more likely, they just decided that, those are blue districts, there's not much chance of winning. They didn't want to waste their time and money. But, if we're supposed to be participating in a democratic process, weighing pros and cons, how can you do that in a district where there's only one candidate on the ballot? There's no opportunity for a debate or a discussion of the issues. It's like the old Soviet Union where there was only one candidate on the ballot, right? Like basically no choice. Folks, this is not a healthy democracy. Now, if we had an independent, nonpartisan commission, I'm not saying we would have no unbalanced lines. With the distribution of the population the way it is, that's not possible. But they would most likely pay attention to our state constitution, which says when we draw these lines, we're supposed to be attending to political boundaries and geographic boundaries and keeping the districts contiguous. We're not doing any of those things now. All we're paying attention to are how many Democrats are in the district or how many Republicans are in the district. Yeah, I don't understand how the politicians get away with this, because it's clearly against our Constitution, but I don't know, maybe it's because they control the courts, it doesn't matter. Whatever, it's definitely not a good situation, and we should change it. Speaking of changing it, I do want to say a word about that process, right? So prior to 2010, the Republicans, hadn't been in control forever, and they actually put together a proposal, a very good proposal, for a nonpartisan independent commission to redraw district lines. And they introduced it as legislation, but the Democrats, who were in control and sitting fat and happy, they were completely uninterested. They wouldn't even let this bill out of committee. Then 2010 happened, and suddenly the Republicans are in control and the Democrats are on the outs, right? The Democrats quickly developed a very strong interest in redistricting reform, and they took that Republican bill and they basically introduced the exact same bill in 2011, right, that the Republicans had been touting. And now the Republicans, who are happy drawing their lines, they have suddenly lost interest in the topic, and they won't let the bill out of committee. So if you think this is a significant problem, please vote for me. If I get up there, I will work. I mean, the Democrats are probably in my pocket. They're probably all in favor of it right now. I will try to get some Republicans who see the long-term general interest of North Carolina and would be in favor of doing something along these lines, and try to put together a coalition to advance this idea. So, if you have interest in my ideas on healthcare, education, and the economy, or if you'd like to look at my other electoral reform ideas, which include fairness for independent voters and implementing ranked choice voting in North Carolina, please check out my website. It's electbradhessel.org. I'll put some links in the comments. And my name is Brad Hessel, and I approve this message.